he bolstered his whole team. It was a little bit of addition by subtraction, you might say, with the way that he attacked it. Hold on one second here. Let me pull it up so I can back my claim here. Jesse's going to be rocking some wicked wide receivers this year with guys like Mike Wallace, Deshaun Jackson, and Marcus Colston. Now he had a couple of reaches, he did, and got in. When you're looking at maybe Jimmy Graham, he took a lot of flack for that pick. But anybody who's got Drew Brees throwing him the ball, they'll be pretty good. Especially if they're going to be a red zone target. There's a lot of upside there. You don't know what's going to happen, but those quick strike guys like Johnny Knox. Oh, and of course, how could I forget Roddy White still sitting out there? I mean, he's got a really strong wide receiver core that he built on the back of the picks he took from BG. And to say, well, I'll give up Aaron Rodgers, but I'll take Phillip Rivers to still start. You can't really complain about that. So,
I don't mean to interrupt you,
but I will. So.
With Aaron, I'm sorry, but with Aaron Rodgers, the deal he took, I really did not expect him to take that.
Why do you say that?
I mean, because Aaron Rodgers, he's pretty much moving up. He's got the potential and the talent to be something to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
I know, and first and third with the deal that they made is. I just don't see. I didn't see him making that deal. But
honestly, though, like for a first and third round pick, though, you're looking at getting like first tier caliber players, right? Guys that are going to produce for you. They're like studs on their respective NFL team. So you're giving up one guy, Aaron Rodgers, who is a phenomenal player.
Yeah, and he's also going to put up the points that Jesse will also.
I guarantee he'll be in the top 3 among fantasy scorers overall of any position in the league this year.
That's true.
He will. That's a guarantee. But you get 2 extra picks of guys that are top tier, first round and third round. You can make guys that are contribute very successful numbers. We're talking like double-digit scoring on a weekly basis. And you saw Jesse do that.
I guess it's more of like I see it with you already have a teammate or a part of the team who can put up them high numbers that you expect to need to take over another team.
But here's the thing: he parlayed that into if you're gonna lose Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers is not a bad
second.
I'm not saying
You could also look at it this way. Let me say this: you could also look at it this way. With those picks that he took, Jesse drafted Roddy White and Matt Forte. Now you're gonna average out of a quarterback, even a AAA quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is. You're gonna average about 20 points a game. If everything goes to plan, you're gonna and out of between Roddy White and Matt Forte, I think you average 25 points a game. That's 5-point swing that goes towards Jesse.
I want to say that I know how it seems, but with Jesse and the luck of his players, is that eventually he's gonna someone's gonna get hurt. Like it has been every year. Like he had Marshall Faulk or Kurt Warner. Yeah, exactly.
Are you disagreeing with me that Jesse is a draft day winner? Or you think BG won that trade?
I think BG got a really good deal out of that. Because I just feel
even with the loss of franchise tags.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like Jesse should stay with Aaron Rodgers because I feel like even though with the picks, even without him, I feel like that if you were to keep Aaron Rodgers and had the picks that he had, that he could have built around that, even with different other players with different picks. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like he's gonna regret it in the end.
Well, all right. So there you have it. My draft day winner, I'm gonna say, was Jesse because he had one plan going in, but an opportunity presented itself. He took it, and I think he's gonna run with it. I think he really had a really great contingency plan, which I think he exacted to perfection. My draft day loser. I have a feeling this might be a common thread among all of us. I think my draft day loser has to be Kevin Guile. Matt Schaub, I think, is he's beast mode. He is money in the bank, literally for him because he just took home $60. So I mean, how could I disrespect him as far as that goes? But other than that, I think dude's in trouble. I mean, you're rocking Vincent Jackson, I'll take, but then you got Jason Witten and Percy Harvin starting maybe behind him. Otherwise, you could go through any one of his four tight ends. Um, I don't. I can't possibly fathom why he made some of the decisions he did. I think Javid Best was probably his best pick of the draft, as far as where he got him positionally and everything like that. I think D'Angelo Williams is trouble. I think MJD is trouble. I think he's in good shape with Mason Crosby and the Packers defense. But other than that, I think it might be a long season for the defending champ, which I hope isn't true. I'm all about everybody being a force to be reckoned with. I'm all about needing to play, not having those weeks where you're against somebody and you're like, well, maybe I'll just try this guy to see how he looks. But I think Kevin Giles in some rough shape based on what I've seen. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's planning on parlaying a really good backup in Matt Stafford and Javid Best into some trades that might bolster his receiver core. But as it stands right now, he could be in a little bit of trouble.
I don't see any power trades with him at all. I think he's just gonna keep what he's got and just play him. He did the same thing last year.
Last year he did have what he had.
He had what he had, and he just threw it out there and let it ride. See how it went, and apparently it did pretty good because he won the championship.
Yeah,
obviously,
he has. I mean, there's something to be said for having great faith in ESPN's analytics. So, you got that going for you.
Yeah, I mean,
Devin, draft day winners and losers.
Well, I mean, we talked about one blockbuster trade today, the Aaron Rodgers trade between Beachy and Jesse, of course. But there was also one other blockbuster trade, maybe not hyped up quite as much, but just as much of a factor, I would feel. And that would be between you and Mike, you dealing your franchise tag Drew Brees, in return getting a first and fourth round pick, which is almost as good, and you definitely took advantage of that, invested that back to bring some quality players to your team. I mean, you went ahead.
Want to take the helm here? You need to drive a little bit.
I mean, you went ahead with the first round pick, went out and got Michael Vick, who has been considered one of the best, quarterbacks fantasy-wise out there. Top three in most formats, you could say. I mean, trading Breeze, you could almost consider that an upgrade.
I'm gonna say that out of all the trades, Steve probably benefited more out of it than anybody.
And the interesting thing, I like what Steve did with this trade because he could have gone ahead and tried to immediately fill the position needs he needed at the starting spots. Instead, he went ahead and went best available, and you saw him take guys like Tony Romo, and after that going, getting a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. So having three quarterbacks on your team that you can consider top tier quarterbacks that should be starting for any team, top of the line.
Steve did really good. I mean, he got one of the top three quarterbacks out of Drew Brees, what he traded. But you have to look at the trades, and I feel like that maybe he did better than what Jesse did. I mean, Jesse got Phillip Rivers, which I'm not saying is a bad quarterback, but I feel like that maybe he's not up top tier material.
We'll have to wait and see.
Vic has the arm. I mean, he's always had the arm, no matter what happens. And I feel like he can make the plays with whoever he's got. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a rookie or a veteran. I just feel like he has the arm to get it there, plan it, and get that touchdown.
It's one of those things where we have to wait and see what happens. But the fact of the matter is that he landed three quarterbacks top tier, whereas Jesse used a little bit different strategy. He was going to fill his needs immediately, which he did, and he was able to get some very
he
good
was able to even
players.
it out more than what he would. But I feel like that.
But also keep in mind, Jesse did have second pick in the draft, whereas Steve was looking at the 8th pick. So a little bit different situation.
I feel like with Steve's picks, maybe he was able to get more out of it than what Jesse was able to. I mean, I just feel like that he was able.
I
to
feel
get
like
more
in
out
the long run, he will get a lot out of this.
I'm not saying that Jesse I don't want to say Jesse made a mistake in Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like that Jesse had the best quarterback, and he could have built around that, even with a lower tier running back or wide receiver. I just feel like that Rodgers could have been the ticket for him to take the championship this year.
I think the Rodgers trade has been talked to death here. I think Jesse will have a chance to defend himself too in a little bit. Let's hear your draft day loser.
I'd say, you talked about Kevin, which, he had a pretty bad draft. Well, we can all agree on that. But I'm going to bring up someone else that I also feel kind of faltered, kind of surprisingly faltered, too. Because he's had, traditionally, since he's entered the league, been very successful. I would say that'd be Jared. Who went ahead, took a guy like Jermichael Finley, who was a very talented tight end. Took him in the second round. Come on, seriously?
Finley was
Really?
like towards the bottom of my list.
Kidding? Maybe it's just because he was drunk or God knows
Well, he
what.
did say he was drunk when he
I'm
did
sorry.
his draft,
I'm
or
sorry.
he was picking
It's
his players.
possible.
Quick question though. Did you just say Finley was at the bottom of your list?
I mean, I don't want to say bottom of my list, but it was probably like, probably the top last half of it.
The way he was the best of the rest kind of thing.
Yeah,
The
pretty
way
much,
PPR
yeah.
is scored right now, most of the tight ends are going to be below wide receivers at this point.
Yeah.
And that's kind of always been the case, though. In our league, the way it's set up,
Well,
they there's a few exceptions.
I think
to that,
next
of course.
year's
I think
Finley
with-
bumped
I
to
think with
one.
tight-
I
I
think
think-
bumping it up to 1 point for a reception is really going to shake
think
out.
I think with tight
Very
ends,
so.
if you're not 1 through 3, don't even go with a tight end.
You wouldn't say Jermichael Finley's 1 through 3 of tight ends.
If you look at Jason Witten, he gets a lot of down receptions. He's a guy who's converting the first down.
It's true. That's very true.
You also have to think everybody's using a different list, so I mean everybody's gonna be numbered differently.
But
out
keep
there.
in mind that this rule is not going to affect until next season.
I do
So
realize this.
we have to keep in mind that we're still looking at the half point system for the
I mean,
season.
when you
right
look
now.
at people, you have to look at like how they do, or like how they did last season, or what they've done this season, or like in
And
the
that's a good point because Jermichael Finley didn't miss most of last season. He does have some injury concerns.
Mhm.
We'll have to keep that in mind, in addition to the fact that he's a tight end. So you don't know for sure.
He's so proud right now.
I mean, you could look at his whole quarterback situation.
I could listen
Whereas
to
myself-
analytics for days. Keep going.
So
Whereas-
confusing what he's trying to tell.
Myself, the traditionally in this league, it's always been that quarterback is in the main position that's been kept as the keeper. It's because they have that big point potential. I know for myself and for Jared, the two of us, we were kind of the two guys scrambling to fill that void, even regardless of the trades that went down with the quarterback.
You could say it was very brave of Jared, though. I was very impressed
He
by
held
his
out.
choice to go with Arian Foster, despite what you pointed out, the glaring need for a quarterback when you have a franchise tag like a Chris Johnson.
But you know what?
My faith in his picks comes in Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson, he's holding out.
For myself,
He's a Vincent Jackson.
You
this
know,
year.
the way
Yeah.
I want to see it, I don't know how you guys think of it, but I think like when you guys keep keepers, it's a lot to do with points, how they did through the year, but it's also about like how the next year looks for them. Like are they gonna get that? If it's a running back, are they gonna get the ball a lot? If it's a wide receiver, are they gonna get thrown to a lot? You know what I mean?
right?
You
Absolutely.
have to think about it. Who was contending with them for that position that year? If they're gonna have the same the next year, it's just really hard to tell.
Well, I think those are good points. I think that Jared's a really interesting pick for a draft day loser, and we'll have to see how he responds. I think if you remember, Jared's first draft